Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first webinar of the year. I'm Erin, co-founder and COO of Listing Mirror, and today we have Brian, my co-founder and CEO of Listing Mirror. I'm sure if you registered for the webinar, you've seen the marketing that we've been putting out about that, and it's also in the title. So thank you so much for joining us today. I did put a couple poll questions here. So just two today. If you've attended in the past, you might remember we try to use our poll questions to kind of gauge our audience in terms of where you're at with your current business. If you're using Listing Mirror, things like that. I want to keep it quite brief today. And so I just brought two questions to the table. So we're just looking at, do you think that Listing Mirror should bring back phone support? And then also, are you happy with how your business operates today? I had some very exciting conversations a couple weeks ago. I went to Brooklyn to an Amazon Sellers Conference. Shout out to ASGTG. If you are not part of an Amazon Sellers group, you should become one. That is a great group. And their base is in Brooklyn. And so I went to their first show of the year. It was amazing to be part of such a hustling group. And it's always exciting for me to attend these conferences and learn just about, I guess for me, it becomes like a pulse check. Like, how is Listing Mirror doing at meeting the needs of sellers? And so it was a great kind of check-in for me. I hadn't been since the previous May, so about 7 months earlier. And I learned a lot. It was very, very inspirational to be there. And so I brought that stuff back to the team. And of course, Brian has already been doing like his own thinking on where things are at with in terms of where he wants to take the product, and his own pulse on the market and what is needed in this space. So today, that's going to be our focus, is kind of just really orienting ourselves around how is Listing Mirror serving the e-commerce seller marketplace? What are we doing to kind of answer those needs? And maybe some shifts that we're making to really make sure that we are doing a good job of servicing this amazing group of individuals and businesses that are growing up. So welcome, Brian. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for that introduction, and thanks for getting us started. Definitely, I think as a tech company, I kind of function a lot as kind of like CEO slash CTO. Like I spend a lot of my time in the product, so it's really talking to clients, looking at support tickets that are coming in, just any place I can get feedback from people, and just really like seeing what are the pain points in the product, what are the opportunities to make the product better, and just kind of being aware of the product and trying to make a product that is good for you guys, right? Like ultimately, you guys are coming to this webinar because either you use Listing Mirror and we help your business, we help you sell more, we help you work less, or you're interested in using Listing Mirror and you want to kind of see how we can help you. So I think either way, it's very important to me to figure out what exactly the product that you guys need and implement that product and have my team help bring that product to you. So this is kind of the overarching theme of, this webinar is just going to talk a little bit about, what is the product, where are we going, and, what forks are in the road.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Kind of just to start us off, I would love to, if you guys can already, oh, great. We have some people that are already chiming in. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. So it sounds like most people are able to hear. I also have Lindy here as well. Lindy from Listing Mirror. She is helping us out as moderator. And so if hopefully she's able to help solve tech issues that we might be running into. So let's hope everyone is able to hear. And what I was going to say is, let's start off with just something that I feel like is a little bit thought-provoking, just to kind of get us started. This is something that you can answer in the comment section and kind of talk amongst each other while we're running through the stuff that, that Brian wants to make sure that we cover today. So that question for you guys to discuss amongst yourselves, and then we'll definitely make sure that we kind of bring in some of that to our conversation today as well, is what business head scratcher are you working to solve right now? So that could be anything from, I can't, I'm struggling to scale my team because I don't have good processes, or no one's understanding my processes. Or it could be something more simple, like I need my listings optimized so that I can, sell more profitably, or whatever that looks like. So it could be a variety of different things. I'm sure that there are a lot of other things out there too that I'm not even fully aware of. And that's the kind of stuff that we would love to know. We would love to know where your pain points are, because it's fairly common that you as a seller, you can articulate pain points really well, but perhaps because, and I find this in our business as well, perhaps because you are so focused on growing your business and just, head down, working as hard as you can day to day, you may not exactly know what that solution looks like. And so that's kind of where we see ourselves coming in, is being able to present solutions for the problems that you raise. So let's get started with that, and I will be following along in the chat. Brian, if you want to just take over from there and just kind of run through what you have planned, maybe give us a little bit of an idea where you're wanting to take the conversation, what things you want to cover, and then we go.
Yeah, sure. So just kind of let's look back over, what happened in 2022. So Listing Mirror has been around for about 6 years now. We have, started as just a company with myself, and then over time, I convinced Aaron to join us, and we brought on a team and have kind of grown the team from there. So I want to kind of spend, a few minutes kind of looking back, what have we recently done and maybe why we did some of it, and then kind of what are we looking to do and what's the future going to look like. So kind of for what did we do in 2022 product-wise, the biggest thing that we did is we kind of started a redesign of our whole system. So this system, was started 6 years ago. Kind of first couple of years was just kind of going by the seat of our pants. About 4 years ago, we kind of put a little more thought and kind of redesigned a lot of the pages, but not quite everything. But 2022, towards the beginning, Lindy, who's moderating this chat, came aboard, and she really helped us, start redesigning the page from scratch. So, we started at the managed listings page. It's kind of the third version of it. We added the dashboard, the forecasting page, the low stock page. So we've kind of been adding and adjusting current pages, kind of that mix. And you can kind of see that. I know in the app, if you're on like dashboard, the header looks one way, but if you go to manage inventory, the header looks a little different. So that's just kind of you viewing the transition between the old world and the new world, as we call it. So over 2022, we took a chunk of that and we converted it over while still adding new features. And so sometimes just the page changing over might not sound super exciting, but there's a lot of pages that like we want to make more user friendly. Like, managed listings is a very complex page. You're managing your market listing. There's hundreds of pieces of data, and the way you have to interact with this kind of complex. We're kind of like stuck. Like we can't really make it in the current, layout any better. Like it's kind of reached its local maxima. So what we're doing by this redesign is we'll kind of start from scratch and redo that page from, nothing using the new system, and really, I think, be able to make it a lot better. So over the course of 2022, we kind of kicked that off and did a few pages.
And I see a comment in here from Matt. He says, keeping track on my warehouse inventory, purchase orders, and receiving inventory needs a major update. So yeah, that's great. I'm glad that's good to hear that is a need that you see, because we see that need too.
Yeah, and hold that thought for like another couple minutes, and we're going to talk about what we're going to do to the product this year. So yeah, we did not do anything to purchase orders last year. That's pretty old. I guess the other things we did that was user facing was, I think, our Newegg integration. That's, Newegg in the US is something that people kind of mentioned for a while. I think over the last 6 years, the two integrations I've heard about over and over again has been, Newegg and Sears. And, I can in good faith code Sears right now, but Newegg is definitely something that seemed interesting. So, we put some time, we added the integration, and we've had quite a few sellers jump on it. So I've been really impressed by the number of sellers who were already on there, or that they realized that was a new marketplace that we have. So definitely, if you're not a Newegg and it's something that your products align with, if you're anywhere in the electronic space, and they're honestly spreading a bit past that, but if you're anywhere in there and you're not selling a Newegg, definitely encourage you, go apply, get on that marketplace. And with Listing Mirror, we can, create those listings and manage your inventory very, very effortlessly.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that that I think is of note is, when we're making, just like you have to make business decisions for yourselves, while you're, maybe you're choosing like what product lines to sell, or you're choosing to remove product lines that you sell, or just different things like that. There's always so many considerations, and it can be. I guess what I want to say is. We feel your pain, just in terms of just the complexities that go into making those kind of decisions, and knowing that you can't satisfy everyone, but also making really good decisions. So we definitely had to take a hard look at, why are we making the decisions that we're making, in terms of the direction of the product, and do we want to keep going that direction? Are there things that we want to change? And so yeah, I just wanted to point that out. That's definitely a huge, we are running a small business just like you guys are as well. And so that's definitely a huge part of our process, is just trying to figure out what is the market asking for that they may not know that they're asking for, and how can we be okay with, the fact that not everyone's going to be happy, right? So
Right. And I mean, ultimately, we only have, so many developers, so many hours. So we have to kind of be very picky about what we choose to do and what we choose not to do. And, it's something that,
mhm.
just as running a software company like this, I'm getting more experience over the years of doing this. And something that I think we're, as a team, really growing is getting together and talking, and, trying to take all these wonderful ideas everyone has and everyone wants, and figuring out what are the things we can build that will help the most people, and just kind of trying to balance that. So that's kind of like an ever
Yeah.
challenge for us is, what things can we do to really revolutionize life for people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. It's a hard balance to strike. So um so yeah, I'm really encouraged just seeing the different comments that people are leaving here. I am following them, and yeah, let's keep moving.
Yeah, and keep those comments coming. I mean, we love those. All of those will kind of make it into our internal tools. Like, we will track those, we'll count them, and we want to know how many people ask for what thing, and that's super important for us.
Mhm.
So that's
Absolutely.
kind of what happened last year. So what's going to happen this year? So one of the big, like, overarching goals that we're looking to do is we're looking to take that new design and kind of fresh touch of a page and get through every other page in the system. So, I heard a mention of purchase orders, receiving. This is like the pricing page. This is managed marketplace listings. This is your product catalog pages. Every one of those pages, will get moved over into the new world. And much like when we did, the managed listings page, we don't really just directly shift it over. Is really, managed listings was sit back and think about how people are using it. The most confusing part was it was kind of at a SKU level, but really behind the scenes it was at a product level, and there's no way on that page to even know which SKUs were together in a product, and it was this weird guessing game. So, the biggest change when we redid that page was grouping the individual SKUs into products, showing you them as products, and giving you the ability to operate them, like create the listing or delete the listings at the product level. So that's kind of like the level of changes that we're doing when we go through these pages. So, like, I expect things like, edit market listing, things like that to be quite substantial changes. And then there's some pages that are just kind of going to get moved over. So, I mean, our login page got moved over. It's the same login page, right? It looks a little different, but it's the same. So there'll be some boring pages that just get moved over, but most of the pages are, really core to what you guys are doing and the way you're using our system. And, there's always the balance of, you're used to how it works, how it works. So there'll be, learning curve when things change. And it's about us trying to do it in a way that helps you guys, and make sure we receive feedback. So managed listings, we did a couple of weeks of kind of public testing where we knew it was going to be a big page. We put it out there. We put it up on one of our test servers and let clients use it. We plan to kind of do that for any other big changes like that. So I could see edit market listing. I could see that, it's going to be there as a public beta. It's going to be something that you guys can use for maybe, 4 to 6 weeks, kind of give us feedback. Either it's better, you like something about it, you don't like something about it. So, we want to take your feedback. We want to kind of improve all these things. I think a lot of these pages, like we have like 100, individual points of feedback of, we want to do this thing and we like this and we don't like this, and trying to kind of combine all that into kind of one page and kind of go through the system like that. So yeah, so exciting changes ahead product wise. We'll have lots of opportunity for feedback. So please, when we ask for those, and if you have opinions, please give them. We love those. That's kind of the big feature. And I think the overarching theme that we're going to be used kind of while we're going through the system is that we kind of want to make sure that we're doing a really good job at our core thing. So kind of, most people came to Listing Mirror because they saw the word listing and mirror, and, in some way, they need to manage their listings, and listing management is something that I think works well. And it worked well 6 years and 5 years ago. And it's just something that we kind of left it and moved on to go do other things, go create purchase orders, go work on other systems, but we've kind of not put a lot of time back into creating listings. So I think another thing that you will see over this year is that we're looking to really make those core things significantly better. So, I mean, we want you to be able to create your listings in, half the time that you do now. Anytime there's repetitive clicks or you're having to, go look up UPCs or any of that kind of stuff, we want to try to see, can we save you those steps? So kind of do everything we can to make that process as smooth as possible. So I think one of the core things is that you'll see over this year is that our core, core listing management, order management, inventory management, they'll keep getting better. So I think you'll see, month by month, quarter by quarter, they will continue to kind of become easier to use and more efficient. Beyond that, I mean, we're always on the lookout for integrations to add. We're very interested generally in, US marketplaces as like our primary focus. So, just watching, seeing what becomes popular, if new markets launch, and any marketplace but Sears, I mean, talk to us and we'll see if we can add those. And definitely every time you write in, we add a vote to a JIRA. So we have a thing on our side where we're keeping track of, 17 people asked for this marketplace. And, I saw a Facebook scroll by. So we do count those and we add those up, and, that's one of our sources of should we do something or not.
Yeah. Do you want to dive into why you don't want to add Sears?
Yeah. I mean, really, people who sell on Sears apparently like it, but it's just, I can't imagine a world with no Sears stores that Sears becomes some type of e-commerce powerhouse. Like if that happens and, they surpass Walmart.com, then we can talk about the Sears integration maybe, but it's just, I very much have to be forward looking, and like in 2 years and 5 years, where are people going to be selling their products? And, it's not as much about where did I sell them 10 years ago. It's where are you going to be selling them in the future?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. One thought I had while you were talking about the stuff with just improving listings, inventory, specifically with the listing data. One thought I had is, the best kind of technology is one that you don't have to think too hard about. Right. And so we, kind of to a fault, I think both of us, we really like nerding out about the little specificities of how things work and why they operate that way. And I'm sure that you as clients, if you use Listing Mirror before, you've picked up on that because that's something that we've made a part of our culture as well. It's kind of ingrained in our team to explain why things work that way and tell you why that listing couldn't go live, or tell you why we made that choice in our software, things like that. So kind of an unspoken part of what Brian talked about with just improving all of this is taking out um, maybe a little bit of the nerd factor for you as the user, not so much for ourselves, but just for you as the user, so that it is a little bit more intuitive. You're not having to answer 25 questions in order to get to the bottom of what's going on. So how can we really eliminate those barriers? And that's kind of an exciting shift for us, because it means that our product can be useful to more users, because we know that we do skew more toward a user that wants to be heavily involved in the software, which we love. But not every business owner is able to do that. So how can we kind of work on our product a little bit to make it make sense for a wider variety of users? And I definitely think that this is all part of that.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And kind of the big ongoing thing, and I know we're kind of beating this, over and over again, but a big thing of this year is really just continuing to get more feedback from users, right? And it's really important for us to hear what are the most difficult parts of using Listing Mirror, and can we simplify those? And what are like the new things that you want, and can we achieve those? So just continue to be responsive and listen. I think that's, as a product, as a company, that's one of the big reasons why we don't, set our roadmap in stone. There's no secret roadmap where we have the next, 18 months planned out, and, every month exactly what we're going to work on. We kind of have like some themes, and we know, based on quarters, we would like to maybe do certain things, but we are really planning like 1 to 3 weeks at a time. So like if we hear a really, really good idea today, there's a question, there's a feedback, and it really resonates with the team, and we see this could really help users, we could start development on that, in a week, and we could have it live in 10 days. So it definitely is something that we try to be very responsive and flexible, and open to that kind of stuff, and we think over time that has added a lot of value, and it's something that we continue to want to do and want to kind of steer the direction of the product is very much guided by our users, and what you guys say, and that's really the guiding factor for how we can make a better product for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's something that we have pretty intentionally done differently than other similar services. Is really, from day one, we really started as a platform that was meant to serve sellers. From the very beginning, the way that you brought on those first few sellers was by hearing exactly what their needs were, and then giving them a solution and asking them if that solution worked. So we definitely want to keep on with that tradition and not veer from it too much. Uh, and we're lucky to have the flexibility to be able to do that, and also because we love it. We love being able to answer these questions for you. We love being able to troubleshoot and problem solve. Um, just so that the product is as beneficial as possible for the people that are using it. So, Brian, could we? I'm just noticing the time. I'd love to shift into our Q&A pretty soon, but I asked you last week if you could just think up a few. Well, you know what? Actually, let's do it this way. I'm rethinking my strategy here. So, on the fly, why don't we move into questions? You can tell me what you think about this. Why don't we move into getting feedback and questions from the participants, and then we go into your final thoughts and kind of what you want people to take away from today.
Let's
How
do
does that
it.
sound? Okay. So we are starting with a question from Zeb. Can we manage our Amazon listings, shipping, and other things through Listing Mirror?
So, excellent question that has kind of a very complicated answer. So it's something that, it is good to kind of explain over here. So
Yeah.
Amazon has this API that, has been around for about 20 years. If you've seen the coding side at all, it's called the MWS API, but whatever, they had this really old API for 20 years. It's kind of how you created listings on Amazon, how you manage listings, and it did have a product creation component, but it's very, very, very complicated. And all it really ever did was take these things you upload and turn them into the spreadsheets you could upload in Seller Central. But then the errors it would give back were much worse than the spreadsheet. So you would get back these really obscure errors that made no sense. And to make one product with that API, it would be like 4 or 5 back and forths on a support ticket to like understand what Amazon is saying. And it was just not a good experience. So that's not something that we had offered today. Kind of at the end of last year, so December 31st of 2022, Amazon finally shut down that API, and their new API, which is called the SP, it's the Selling Partner API, is fully live. We have fully switched over to that, and that API, they have a promise to they're planning to look at product creation and make it easier. And the problem is currently that it does seem to be slightly easier, but they're kind of going category by category. So of the 45,000 Amazon categories, you can create Amazon listings on like 9,000 of them. And I haven't looked in a few months, so maybe that number's getting closer. But really what I foresee happening is as they start to add more categories to that, and it gets to a point that maybe half the categories or 2/3 of the categories work, then it's something that we would bring Amazon listing creation back into Listing Mirror and kind of allow you to do that. So it's, we'll definitely do some testing. We'll definitely find some adventurous beta testers who want to experience it and want to use Listing Mirror to make those listings. And we'll kind of see what the process looks like and, see if it's helpful. It's something that we very much would like to offer, but it's something that if, the experience we offer is not useful and not good, then it's something that it's better for us not to offer. So that's kind of why we don't have Amazon listing creation today.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it would be the same as if you, as maybe you're a private label seller or something like that, and everyone is like, you need to build something that looks like this, but that building something that looks like that has a whole bunch of underlying complications that really, if you were to present a product like that to your audience, it would not suffice what they're looking for. And it's not so much that it's not something that we would like to add, or it's something that like we can't wrap our brains around. It's just that in order for it to be something that you would even be interested in using, Amazon needs to make that better. And so we are really hoping that this new API gives us that ability to offer that, because absolutely, if we could centralize more things in Listing Mirror, that's a huge win for our sellers. We know that 100%. We want to be able to offer that, and we're looking for every single day. We're looking for avenues of opportunity for us to be able to do that. Cool. All right. So from Federico asks, the second one, okay, this must be the second question, is that I inherited a messy SKU list, and now we are slowly replacing the SKUs and implementing a standard SKU convention, but it's been painful to track down the SKUs, delete and republish them, and update them across all channels. Is there any way to do this through Listing Mirror?
Yeah, so again, kind of an excellent question. So every marketplace has kind of their own rules and regulations about changing SKUs. Some marketplaces very much don't let you change SKUs. Some marketplaces say you might have to delete the listing and remake it. Other markets have, just you can change SKUs at will. So it's kind of each marketplace is going to handle SKUs differently. The way that kind of our basic workflow and kind of what we do is we have this link listing thing. So we allow you to say, SKU A in Amazon, SKU B in eBay. You can link those together as, SKU A, and then our order export to ShipStation, our orders page, our inventory page, we're always going to refer to it by the Listing Mirror SKU, by SKU A. So it's kind of like if you don't go channel by channel, there's a way to kind of manage that, tie it together. But yes, ultimately it is the best to probably have the SKUs in the marketplace. I think that's kind of a case that you'd be best served kind of thinking about the problem instead of going, one SKU to each marketplace. I think it's a prompt that you'd be best served kind of thinking about like marketplace by marketplace. Like I want to make all my Etsy SKUs match my Listing Mirror SKUs. And that's something that like, I think we could provide guidance over support. It's something that I think we could one time, make all your Etsy SKUs match your listing mirror SKUs. That's pretty easy. eBay, I think you're ultimately going to have to close and reopen some listings. So it's kind of how that goes. So yeah, definitely there are some different paths for that, and definitely going forward, that's a good reason to try to use the same SKU in all channels. Don't just make random SKUs, and don't try to make channel specific SKUs. I think you're going to have the easiest life and the best listing mirror experience if you create all your new products with the same SKU on each channel.
And I'll add to that too that you do not. So coming into Listing Mirror, I work with a lot of our sellers as they're coming in the door, working with them on the onboarding process. You do not, in order to use Listing Mirror well, you do not have to go to each marketplace, delete the listings, republish them with the correct SKU so that we can import them so that they match properly. That I think is a really good use case for linked listings. So in a case where you are onboarding to Listing Mirror, you need to get things straightened out. And Federico, I don't know where you're at in the process with Listing Mirror, but if you are a newer user or maybe you're not using Listing Mirror yet, our feature feature to link listings is a great solution for this. So coming in the door, you can in a spreadsheet tell us this Listing Mirror SKU. So I'm going to call it SKU ABC. Also matches to SKU ABC LD, SKU ABC FK. Like you can tell us in a spreadsheet exactly what SKUs belong to that master SKU or that LM SKU, and then that kind of alleviates some of that headache. Of course, it doesn't take away all of it, because there are going to be cases where you just see the marketplace SKU say on the specific marketplace, and you don't get the feedback from Listing Mirror saying, hey, it's actually this SKU. But inside of Listing Mirror, it does help with inventory for sure and orders.
Yeah, we'll at least make sure that they all show the same SKU, in our system. They'll show the same SKU to ShipStation if we're connected. So it's even though they're different in the marketplace, at least internally to Listing Mirror, they will all look the same once you link them. So it gets you most of the way there.
Hopefully that answers your question and potentially is a solution for what you're facing. Let's move on. So CJ says, we are listing a lot directly on Walmart and wish Listing Mirror could pull those listings in automatically when creating Amazon listings on Amazon.
Yeah, so I think kind of to zoom out on that workflow. So it's kind of a matter of, are people wanting to use Listing Mirror to create these listings in other channels? Or are people wanting to go directly in the sites, create those listings, and then bring them in? A channel like eBay, has kind of like a perfect API, which means that if you go on eBay, you type in 20 pieces of information, we can go to the eBay API, we can pull in all 20 pieces of information, we can kind of have a perfect copy of that, and from there you could edit it, you could change the title back or mess with the images, and we could sync that back. So there's kind of like a good path to do that. Something like Walmart, the API provides, the title, one image, and like maybe the UPC, and that's it. Right. So there isn't a world where we can pull those in. And that's kind of when you are inside of Listing Mirror, you'll sometimes see Walmart listings that are uneditable, I believe is the word that we use. So they're basically a shell of a Walmart listing, and we can sync quantity to it, we can sync price, but we can't sync those listing details unless you're going to kind of refill them out from scratch. So there's definitely, it's trying to kind of find that balance, and that same workflow isn't going to work on each channel. So definitely the way that we always start guiding people is, if at all possible, create those listings in Listing Mirror. You have all the data fields, you have full data, and you'll be able to manage that in Listing Mirror. And I think the kinds of listing management updates that we're doing this year are really going to give you a big win and really help you be more efficient. So, down the road, if you're really using our product catalog, if you have everything lined up and you want to change a description, want to change a title, you can change it one time and really have it apply to all your channels, right? If you're going down the workflow of, I'm going to create on a bunch of channels, you're kind of losing half the benefit of using Listing Mirror. You're not going to have any path to really mass update that data. And then that's,
and I guess I was just going to say, sometimes this comes down to, if you're using Listing Mirror right now, which I don't know if you are, but if you are using Listing Mirror right now, why are you not happy with the listing tool that we have for Walmart, because maybe that is a little bit better of a question for us to really hone in on is how can we improve what you're experiencing in Listing Mirror? What frustration are you facing that makes it so that you don't want to update your listings inside of Listing Mirror? And I guess, that's just like a question to ask yourself. We are happy to converse about that with you further if you want to reach out to either one of us by email. It's just Aaron at Listing Mirror or Brian at Listing Mirror, if you wanted to talk about that further. Okay. I have kind of like two questions here. What marketplaces and channels are you guys considering? And along with that, let's talk about Target, Target Plus, and Facebook, because those are two that I saw that I know we have some talking points
Yeah,
on.
so kind of what marketplaces we are considering. I mean, the short answer is all of them. Lindy's in chat. She kind of has the most recent tally, so she knows kind of what the top 4 or 5 are based on requests. So definitely ask in chat about a specific marketplace, or just ask Lindy and she can give you, the top couple. So, lots of requests for Target Plus. They seem to be kind of the new marketplace and something that a lot of people are interested in. Ultimately, what it comes down to is Target as a corporation is kind of like the opposite of Amazon. They're very much like a slow, methodical company, right? They don't tend to jump things, and they've kind of been phasing in e-commerce marketplace over the last 4 or 5 years. As of right now, there are only 8 different softwares that are allowed to connect to them, and the last one was added, I think, in either 2020 or 2021. So we're definitely on the list of, we would love to connect to Target Plus. If we, got authorized to do it, we would connect tomorrow. But, ultimately, we can't decide to connect to Target Plus. Target Plus has to decide they will allow other integrators to connect. And they've decided 8 is as many integrators as they want. So definitely, if you have a Target Plus rep, email them and complain and yell at them and tell them they need to add Listing Mirror. And, the day that we can do it, we'll definitely do it. And Facebook Marketplace is really the same thing. So they have closed down for over a year now. They used to have a public integration of whoever wants, build an e-commerce integration with us. They have closed that down, and they have a set of people that are connected to them, and they're not really taking anybody else right now. So it's whether they're not going to do e-commerce in the future, whether they just don't know how to scale that. It's not super clear to me, and I don't have any inside knowledge of that. But if you go to Facebook integrator page, you can see that there's no sign up form. There's just a big like out of service sign that says we're closed. So ultimately, the balance of what we can connect to is who will allow us to connect to them with who do you guys want. So if everybody wants Target Plus, there's nothing we can do about it until Target Plus decides to change their policy. So
well, I will say there are things that we can do about it, but it's not as straightforward. We're doing our best to network with them, and just like you do as sellers, getting the connections that you want just involves lots of conversations and meeting the right people. So we're definitely working on that side of things. If you do have a Target Plus connection, we would love to be part of that conversation. If you like Listing Mirror and you want to keep using Listing Mirror, we would love to be able to help you out by getting your products on Target Plus. So definitely follow up with us in further conversations about that. We would love to talk about it. Another one that I know I had in mind was Wayfair, and that is basically the same scenario where we have to gain approval as an integrator to connect to Wayfair. Maybe there's a little bit more to it. I can't remember if that's all the story there, but it's something similar. We would love to connect to Wayfair. A lot of people have been asking for it, so we just need to continue to dig and make the right connections there. And something that we're working towards. So if you have Wayfair connections and that's something that you can leverage, we would love your assistance with that as well. Okay. Question from Federico again. Will you connect to Chat GPT to help write copy for listings, perhaps SEO, and include missing attributes?
Yeah, so I mean, ChatGPT has kind of blown up over the last few months. It's kind of been an interesting thing to kind of just watching, high school kids using it to write their papers, and some kids getting away with it and getting A's on papers that a robot wrote. Like, it's cool. Yeah, I could see a world that we integrate with it, and it's kind of like on the idea board. Kind of what it comes down to is finding the right way that really makes the most sense. Like, I could pretty easily imagine a world that, like, based on this set of data, what do I think a good eBay description for this product would be in? And ChatGPT would give you a description and you could, like, look at it. Kind of a world that I don't think would make any sense would be a world that, like, I want you to write copy for all of my eBay listings and I'm not going to proofread it. So then
Right.
start the listings start to talk about, they make you fly and they give you laser eyes, and somebody buys that product and it doesn't give them laser eyes, like, you're responsible for that. So I think there's definitely
Right.
a balance of, it's a neat tool, like using a word processor with spell check is a neat tool, but you wouldn't expect a word processor with spell check to write a paper for you. And ChatGPT, it can go a little bit further and it can string together some sentences and do some more stuff, but it's pretty easy to end up with nonsense. I mean, definitely there's some sites you can go and you can play around with it. You can ask it complicated questions, and if you even ask it questions of, like, medium difficulty, sometimes it'll give you paragraph after paragraph that sounds really official and just makes no sense. Like, it's against the laws of physics. It's like you can walk on water, and it doesn't make sense. So it's something that, like, I think there's definitely a way to use it in your e-commerce listing. But if you think you're going to be able to replace your copywriting team with ChatGPT, I don't think that's going to happen. At least not now.
Yeah, and right, and some of that just comes back to what kind of business are we building, because there is a certain amount of, like, we know that people can slop listing data anywhere. There's many ways to get that done, but we believe that our sellers and that good, strong sellers really care about the listings that they're creating. And so, will it make sense for us to add Chat GPT integration in a way that, like, people can just slop listing data around? Probably not, because that's not really the direction of the product that we're developing or that we have developed. Um, you know, because ultimately at the end of the day, then who becomes responsible for the sloppy listing data, so I think that's where it gets a little bit tricky. Okay. Sammy asks, when is the description template for Shopify coming to Listing Mirror? Shopify is the future of e-commerce.
Yeah, and definitely, I think of all the web stores we support, I definitely see Shopify as the most interesting, and we have kind of always built in that direction. We support various web stores. We do, WooCommerce, Magento, BigCommerce to different degrees, but we have definitely focused on Shopify. And I think kind of one of the themes of this year, so product size, like what marketplaces we want to make the experience better on. The two that we have really identified is Shopify and Walmart. So we really think those are both popular, marketplace or web stores that our clients use, and those are stores that we want to make better. So specifically for Shopify, I think templates is one of the big things we can do. So, allow you to, just like you can in eBay, insert a rich HTML template. Some of it's kind of like product discussion now, like just exposing an HTML template that you can put your own HTML in. That would be very easy. If we want to start making an editor, we want to start going deeper down that path, it gets a little more complicated. So definitely express those needs to Lindy, either chat or email those in, and we'd love to hear that. But I could definitely see that happening on Shopify this year. And the other thing is, we've had lots of requests for kind of the meta tag. So they're becoming more popular in Shopify. And, they allow you to kind of add some custom attributes. And a lot of people behind the scenes use those custom attributes to drag different apps. So you could have a shipping price app, or you could have, a different selector widget app that's using those meta fields behind the scenes. I think we're looking heavily at those and looking how we can expose those and give you a place to do those. And I think those two things together will be very interesting for Shopify. Feature coming very soon, as in the next couple of weeks, is, for Shopify, we're actually allowing you to send orders from Listing Mirror to Shopify. So that's something that we're going to, within 1 to 2 weeks have live, and that's the kind of the first step on the Shopify thing. But there's definitely more and more Shopify stories we would like to do. So it's definitely something that I think is good, and I think it's part of the future of e-commerce. But I think the hard part about Shopify is you have to drive your own traffic, right? Amazon and eBay and Walmart drive traffic to you or give you an easier way to get traffic. So I don't think it's really an either or. I think it's more like a both and situation of keep selling on Amazon, but also open a Shopify store, selling both.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool that you dropped that hint about sending orders to Shopify, because that opens us up to a whole host of options. Drop shipping is the first thing I think of. Just giving people the option to connect to different drop shipping services, I think is going to be a huge win. And then also just every seller that has integrations with other shipping providers as well, that they can connect to Shopify. I think it's a huge win for our selling group. So be on the lookout for that, because we definitely will be telling you more as soon as it's live and as soon as we have it implemented. So just know that.
Yeah, and just in case everyone's not aware, there's a little red bubble on the top of your screen. It kind of jumps around if you don't click on it for a while. That's kind of where Lindy tells you new things are appearing. And we have many updates a day, many we don't tell you about. We kind of try to hone in on what are the most interesting. So you'll get the little red jumpy thing. You can also just go to updates.listingmirror.com, and that's the page form of that. And it'll kind of list what's the new things that have happened in Listing Mirror. And, check that every day. We are releasing things every day, and, just kind of be on the lookout for things.
Yeah, and he's talking about a little red bubble inside of your Listing Mirror account. When you're logged in, you'll see it in the top left, I think. Yep, right on the. I think it's right on top of the logo is where it is right now. Okay, we're going to answer one more question, and then we will wrap up with Brian's final thoughts. Thank you guys so much for these amazing questions. These are great. Great conversation starters. So our last question here is, can I upload my products from SKU Vault and link them with a marketplace listing? Because I think that I uploaded the listings instead of the products.
Yep. So kind of short version of that is the way the SKU Vault integration works is very much just we link things by SKU. So we have our LM SKUs on our side. SKU Vault has a product SKU. We use that SKU to link inventory. So we read off SKU Vault. And for anyone that doesn't know, SKU Vault's kind of a warehouse management system. So people that run their warehouse, they have barcodes, pick and pack, some purchase order functionality. So they use that for their warehouse. We'll take the SKU, link the SKU up to Listing Mirror and sync quantity. It's very much not about driving data. So we're not writing data like product data to SKU Vault. We're not reading product data from SKU Vault. That's definitely something that could happen. But kind of most of our users that we have experience with that use it prefer our version of listing data to SKU Vault's version of listing data. So they use Listing Mirror to manage that listing data, and they just use SKU Vault to kind of manage the warehouse side. So if you're looking to use it in a different way, or if you have a different kind of warehouse management system that you want to hook up to Listing Mirror, definitely talk to us, and we're happy to discuss more.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Brian, for answering all of those questions. So just kind of rounding out this hour together, I wanted to really just get from you 3 things that you want this audience and maybe just e-commerce sellers in general to know and to take away as someone who builds software, who has a really good pulse on the market, and and someone who's just a visionary for e-commerce in general. What are 3 things that you would recommend to this crowd?
Yeah, so let's just think of some things to say. So I think one big thing is that multi-channel e-commerce is complicated. Every channel has their own requirements, their own rules and regulations. You their own way of doing things. So kind of, even if you do have a focus, like you do most of your business on Amazon, you definitely need to dedicate some of your time to kind of learning the ins and outs of those other marketplaces. So there's definitely a lot of advantage for you for knowing how these other marketplaces work and kind of, understanding their expectations. There's no way I can in my product, tell you eBay isn't going to allow you to do this or eBay is expecting that. There are so many of those requirements. So very much, keep on top of those trends, stay in groups, stay in, newsletters, various things to kind of keep learning. Never just decide you've learned everything you're going to learn. So keep learning and keep ingesting information about the different marketplaces. I would say.
Wait, I just wanted to kind of talk about one specific detail of that. I think that sometimes it's really easy, and this happens in our business as well. It's really easy to just get focused on the things that you're frustrated about, the things that are not working as efficiently as you want, and put a lot of energy into figuring out how can you make that frustration go away. How can I just make it easier? I just want all my listings to just go everywhere. That should be easy. And putting a lot of energy into that thought process instead of just accepting that it's a lot of work and you have to know all the marketplaces and then working on developing a system for that instead of putting your energy into being frustrated about it. So that's just something that I've noticed in my own business as well, is making sure I'm not putting a bunch of energy into things that are frustrating to me, that cannot be solved, at least not right now. Instead, putting that energy into developing the solution that is presented to me, which is Listing Mirror. So that's just something to be aware of.
Yep,
Okay,
yep, that's great. So second thing about using Listing Mirror, I just encourage everybody, we have a really good knowledge base. So it's support.listingmirror.com.
Yeah.
Please go there, please use it. Sometimes I do help with support. So for example, the week between Christmas and New Year's, everyone took off and I was Mr. Support for the whole week. I like it. Just for one, everyone needs time off, but for two, it was kind of fun to see those support tickets. But 50 to 75% of them, you could take the phrase of like the subject of the support ticket, put it in the knowledge base, and the first article answered the question. So we put a lot of effort of trying to have a lot of data in there. And clicking around, it can get hard because there are so many articles. But if you just do a search for the subject of your email, like you can solve a lot of problems in like 30 seconds. So encourage you, utilize our support knowledge base. Mm-hmm. And then if you don't find it, yes, we're here to help you. But it can be frustrating to have to wait an hour for a response. And if it's something that you could search for in 3 seconds, like it's
right.
It's great.
Yeah, cool.
And my last thing, I would just say the e-commerce marketplace in general, the e-commerce world, I think it continues to be a good environment to sell everywhere. I don't think there's going to be a world that, there's only one e-commerce marketplace. So whether that's, only Shopify, right, only Amazon, it's really about diversifying. So sell on all those different marketplaces. Any marketplace that your product makes sense, spend that time, get your products there up and sell on those. And I think you will reap the rewards over time. So both in, terms of growth, you'll sell more, but also in terms of diversification. I mean, a lot of people show up at Listing Mirror when 100% of their business is on one channel and they get banned from that channel and then they go to zero and then it's like panic. So before you hit that panic mode, like be diverse, be as diverse as you can, and just sell in all those different channels, right? It is going to be more work. There is going to be more thought, but I think with Listing Mirror, I think with the tools we're able to provide you, I think we can make it, a reasonable amount of work, and we can definitely make it worth your while to keep using Listing Mirror and keep selling everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will just conclude with our tagline, which I'm sure you've heard it before, and some people find it like a little bit maybe overstating a little bit, but I really love Brian's explanation for why our tagline makes so much sense for what we are doing here in Listing Mirror. So our tagline is sell more, work less, and it's been really important to Brian that we keep that tagline the same. And so any final thoughts, Brian, on that?
No, I mean, that sums it up. So I think with Listing Mirror, you can definitely sell on more marketplaces. You can definitely sell more products, and we can definitely save you a lot of time and save you from repetitive work. So there is some work up
Yeah.
front made to learn how to use Listing Mirror, but once you've learned that, going to be a big savings over time. And it's sell more, work less. It's not sell more, work none. So the classic reminder of you will have to sometimes do things, but that's okay. It will be less than, the worst case, and you're not having to manually repeat your work over and over again, and we'll give you the best platform that we can. And we really think if you use Listing Mirror, you put the effort into it, you will see your sales go up. And we have some cool case studies up. We have hear from people all the time of how their sales have increased since using Listing Mirror. And definitely, if you haven't yet, then just see what are the opportunities, what are the other marketplaces you can sell on, and how can you get more sales. And just continue trying and continue selling.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian, for your time. Thanks for dedicating your hour to talk to our sellers. I really appreciate your specific feedback. For everyone here, we will be sending a recording of this. So if there's anyone that you want to share it with or share snippets of it with, that will be coming later this afternoon. And if you do need to get in touch, you can reach out to me directly, Erin@listingmirror.com. You can also reach out to our support team for probably a faster answer, support@listingmirror.com. Hope you guys have a great afternoon, and we'll see you on the next webinar.
Thank you for coming, everyone.